folks, it's been a little while to get this together, but it's been a bit of an experiment in dealing with this light rye whiskey spirit that I've been trying to do. So the result is that I've actually had to distill this twice. The first time that I distilled it, I went really slow and carefully. I took the 3 stripping runs that I'd done and just put that in the boiler. Checked it was below 40% alcohol, and it was, so I then distilled it. But it produced a vast quantity of heads, about 2.5 litres of heads. My hard cut was only about 0.6 of a litre, and the tails came in at about just over 1.5 litres. For whatever reason, there's a massive amount of heads that seems to come from this particular batch that I've done, or at least the 3 batches of Rye Bread Whiskey combined together has produced. Now, the heart cut that I took was not particularly good. It didn't taste very well, so I put it all to one side and did some investigation on the internet, and came across a reference in a book that was talking about whiskey production that basically stated that normal manufacturing processes, they don't put their low wines into the still at above 30%. The book actually refers it to the output will have a distinct fainty note, and that's exactly what I was finding. So I checked the percentage alcohol I had again, and effectively I put it in the still at about 37%, the low wines went in. And so I suspect that's what actually happened on that run. So I took all the output I had and put it back into the still, and put in the same quantity of water as was already in the still. So effectively halved the ABV of that wash, so it was a little under 20%, and I ran the distillation again. So in the second time that I ran it through, even with having 0.5% ABV in the low wines, I still took 1.7 litres of heads, about 1 litre of heart cut, and 2.2 litres of tails. I collected it all in small jars of about 200 mils in each one, and then a couple of days later I did the blending to actually decide what was going to be in each of my cuts. These 3 bottles here were some experiments that I did. Because there was only about 1 litre of heart cut out of this, and it didn't have a particularly strong flavour. This one is primarily just the heart's cut. I then went and expanded a little to see how much I could get away with putting in from the heads and the heart. So these other 2 were some experiments in blending to taste those. None of them are particularly bad, but none of them shine as a brilliant tasting product. I'm not sure what I expected from a rye whiskey, but they all have a spiciness on the finish. It's almost like it's a bit like ginger, where it sits in the back of your mouth, but it doesn't have the strong flavour that ginger has. It's just like the spicy prickle, and that's all. The flavour in these is quite muted. I'm guessing that's more to do with the fact that I only used rye bread. It only has a small amount of rye in it. And that a lot of the actual real flavour is hidden in either the heads and tails, which I've put to one side. In the end, I decided that the best thing to do was to leave it a week, which it has done. So this has been a week since I distilled it, to let this all settle. The 2 jars I have here are the hearts with a little bit of the heads and tails. I spread it, went into those a little bit. The heads, both heads and the tails had this little spicy note that was missing from just the pure hard cut, and I'm hoping that's not just some of the bad flavours from those that are going to come through. It's okay. I mean, okay, not a great description of it. If I water, so this ended up being at 55% alcohol. So if I water that down to half that, so that comes in at about 27% alcohol. It has a slight tailsy smell, but it's really slight. But it more reminds me of like a citrusy smell, you know, like the rind of an orange. And the flavour, it's got a nice, there's a slight oiliness to it, so it's got a little bit of texture to it, even diluted down to 27%, and it's not unpleasant, but it's very much like a vodka. You know, if you buy a bottle of vodka from the store, it's not absolutely neutral. I'm talking about a fairly cheap vodka. So it's okay. It's drinkable. If I put that in a mixer with something, then that will be fine. But I think what I should do is take what I've produced. I'm going to leave it for a month, taste it again, see whether just having it left to settle for a while is going to improve it. And then take a judgment call. And I think what I'll probably end up doing is like putting half of it on oak, and the other half I'll just leave to marry and mature in itself without any oak in it, and just see where it goes. So in terms of an experiment into a different style of spirit, I don't think it's been overly successful. Certainly hasn't produced something that I would say I'd want to just sip straight off the still. It's I don't know whether that's down to the fact that the particular bread that I used, which I again wasn't at 100% rye bread, and maybe the ingredients in there has led to some off flavours. Like I say, there's a hell of a lot of heads in here, far more than I would expect from an all grain whiskey and a barley mash. But we'll see how it goes. That's about all I want to say about that. I guess the most important thing that I've found from doing this whiskey is actually having it turn out wrong, and then having to research and try and find out a reason why it turned out the way it did. I don't think I'd ever have discovered this comment in the book, and so I've always just heard that just make sure you haven't go above 40% in your still for safety reasons. I hadn't heard any comment about the different ABVs in the spirit run. Introducing off flavours in the output, so that was useful from that perspective. And like anything, as long as you learn something from an experiment, it's a success.